California and member of the Armed Services Committee. Congresswoman, good morning. And let me ask you about something your colleague Jim Moran said. He says the mission is no longer worth the cost. It's time to get out. What do you think?
Well, first of all, let me say that I agree with both gentlemen on the program, that this undermines us. It undermines our credibility. It doesn't help us to win the hearts and minds, and that there's a separate issue of the military and the political, economical. Are we even winning anyway? As you probably know, I have been one of those who've said that it's time that we have left Afghanistan. I started saying that about 2 or 3 years ago. This certainly doesn't help. Having said that, I just want to say that the majority, 99% of our military are working hard. They're doing what their country is asking of them, and it's very sad to see this undermining of that mission when we have a few people who are doing the wrong thing, who don't know any better, or maybe who have gone over so much that they've lost track of what the real world is about.
But when you hear different reports, for example, what we just were told by Richard Lilly, the first presidential candidate to come forward is a woman, that if you talk to people involved in women's rights in Afghanistan, they will tell you that great strides have been made. And to the general's point, that there was a commitment that was made. What do you see as a reasonable end date, as a reasonable out, Congresswoman?
Well, I would have said that once we got Osama bin Laden, we should have certainly decided to end this war. But now we have to figure out what is the right way to get out of this, and we have to work through our other allies who are also putting their troops in there, their reconstruction troops in there, etc. Certainly, I'm one for women's rights. I'm for educating young women, but you have to have a good partner left there. And honestly, in my opinion, Karzai is not a good partner. He is corrupt. His government is corrupt. He won a second election, I believe, in an illegal way. And we need to find better partners there if we're going to stay there.
And Congressman, if you can hold on, this is also obviously raising huge issues for the military. And I'm wondering, General, if you can tell me what you think is going on here. Do you think that some of these soldiers, given this string of incidents, are cracking under the strain? Do you think it's bad leadership, bad training? Or, I don't know, is this a situation where it's always been going on, but with new technology like cell phone cameras, we're just seeing it and hearing about it a lot more than we used to?
Well, Chris, thanks for that question, because it's a very important question for the United States and for all the men and women who serve. I think the armed forces have done a remarkable job. I commend the military's leadership. We never expected a volunteer force when it was created, and I was a captain who helped work on the creation of the program in 1971 in the Pentagon. We never expected it to handle a 10-year war like this without a return to the draft. It was never designed for that. We've asked our leadership to go back 3 and 4 and some 5 times to these war zones. It's been incredibly stressful, and they've done it incredibly well. As for the specifics here, I imagine some of this has always gone on. And maybe there are more cell phones, and maybe now everybody's more attuned to it, and they're looking for these things, and some soldier decided to send something like this in. Secretary Panetta said it very well. It's inconsistent with our core values. It's against regulations. We know we're not allowed to do this, and I think the United States Armed Forces is just as strong and capable as it's ever been in terms of leadership, and more capable in terms of its combat experience at this stage.
But if you're looking at the underlying problems that the General addressed, Congresswoman, things like these multiple deployments, and obviously the number of problems that we've had, and you can even go into the problems that they're having post-deployment with post-traumatic stress and so on. Is the Armed Services Committee looking ahead? Do you feel that the Pentagon is doing what it needs to do to look ahead to see post-Iraq, post-Afghanistan, what the U.S. military really needs to look like?
Chris, just in this week alone, I've had meetings with Secretary Panetta. I've had meetings with the Commandant of the Marines. I've spoken to General Odierno. We are not only looking at how do we reinfuse our military with the honor of being in the military so these types of things don't happen. How do we reinforce that? Because certainly as we've been moving around troops, as they've been deployed over and over, as their first concern is staying alive, maybe some of this has this type of training, this type of inculcation has not been as in the forefront. So we've actually been talking about how we get that done. And and then when we see them come back and they've got major problems, we're also working on that. And of course, we're in budget constrained years, so we're trying to figure out how do we retool our military so that it's correct for the future types of conflicts we'll see, and how do we take care of our men and women who are coming back with some disorders.
Yeah, very complicated issues, obviously, Joe. If we're looking at a deadline of 2014, if indeed that is what happens in Afghanistan, if we see, for the most part, U.S. forces out of Afghanistan.